Peeping Tom at my apartment. Not sure if this is the right community for this, but it's worth a shot. I recently moved into a new ground floor apartment, and while WFH today a man hopped on my patio and peeped through my glass door, and when he saw me he ran off. He had on a ski mask that was pulled up so his face was visible. I had a weird feeling about the safety of this lower unit, and now I'm definitely looking to request an apartment on an upper level and report the incident to the leasing office when I do. I've also ordered security cameras for my front door and patio. As a single female, I just don't even feel safe already. I guess I'm not sure where to go from here. Any other suggestions? Phone call. True story. A lady in her mid-20s came home and sat on her bed on the phone with her boyfriend. The lady got on the bed to lay down but instead dropped her phone on the floor. While getting the phone, she looked under the bed to see a deranged man's back under it. The lady tried to remain calm and told her boyfriend she was going to shower. The lady quickly ran into the bathroom, locking the door, and turning the shower on so the man thought she was in the shower. She decided it was best to climb out a window and then called the cops. When the cops came out of the house, this is the exact dialogue the two had that day. Do you know where he was? We found him outside the bathroom door, waiting for you. Reminder: no fiction, just posting this because I've seen a large uptick recently in posts either focused on purely creative writing / fictional stories or completely fictional videos / movies. And NBSP. While there is a tiny bit of leeway for presentation, the core premise of this sub is that all stories, accounts, videos, etc. posted here must focus on encounters the OP believes in good faith to be real. Obviously, this does not mean mods will remove good faith posts if they don't believe something happened. It just means posts where the content is known to be creative fiction, e.g. a Hollywood monster movie or AR/NoSleep story, in nature are not allowed. And NBSP. It's the first rule of the sub and the sidebar. Please, no fiction. If you want to suggest and discuss purely fictional works or movies, take it to the appropriate sub. Saw a strange green figure in the woods when I was younger, and he disappeared when I was young, probably under 10. I was on a horseback ride with my parents. We were all riding our own horses. My horse at the time was always the lead. We were going up a slight incline in some wooded trails. I remember feeling my horse stop as if she was startled. I looked to my right, and between the trees stood a male figure. I don't remember a lot, but he was green in appearance, as if he was covered in moss. He had a white tight t-shirt on. He was rather muscular but no larger than the average man. It has stopped mid-stride and stared back at me. I looked back to see my parents and if they were seeing what I was seeing, and when I looked back, it was gone. To this day it gives me the willies. I always wanted to know the significance. Seeing demons in my room scared happened maybe 10 minutes ago. I've been on a spiritual journey with unity in the universe for a long time. Tonight I was climbing into bed and all the lights went out. Blue light came in from the windows and shadows appeared everywhere. Everything was a mottled dark color. I found another light and everything was shaking when I turned it on, like the furniture was rippling, and it was all gray and colorless. I think the shadows roaming around this room are demons. I am sitting still with a blanket pinned over the part of my bed that is exposed to the rest of the room so that I can't see any of the blue light coming into the windows. It makes me feel so horrible when I see it. I also hear loud train noises coming in from outside. There is no train nearby and I'm not crazy. What on earth do I do? Shady guy wanders outside my apartment complex picking up used joints 3 times a day. This isn't really creepy so much as it is just weird and kinda sad. I live on the bottom floor of an apartment and there's a window facing a small grass field next to a fence. You can see when people walk by easily. Anyway, there's this guy in a black coat and gray pants who walks around looking at the ground at least 2 to 3 times a day looking for things. I didn't know what he was looking for at first, but I saw he was picking up used joints on the ground. This guy has been doing this for at least 2 weeks and he always finds tons of them. I don't know how he does it. He always manages to find a handful of them. It's ridiculous. Lord knows what he does with those. Kinda sad and almost impressive how he always finds so many whenever he does it. Simple courtesy for a creepy stranger. Milwaukee, Wisconsin. A friend from high school told me this story that happened to her dad around the early 1980s. Her dad was entering the local mall and apparently he held the door open for a man behind him. The only reason he remembered this incident is because the man he held the door for gave him the creeps. He had intense lingering eye contact and kind of a smug smile. Anyways, my friend's dad didn't think much of it up until about a month later when Jeffrey Dahmer was arrested, and he recognized the mugshot as the man from the mall. This story freaked me out when I heard it back in high school, and I still think about it. There's a lot of lore around Dahmer in Milwaukee, such as people seeing his ghost around the Eagles Club / WI Avenue 25th Street. Something lifted my tent in BBW. My boyfriend and I were camping alone in the mountains of Colorado in early June. There was still snow covering the top of the MT where we were, and there was little to no nature around. I woke up in the middle of the night to something lifting me in the corner of the tent. Freaked out, I quickly awoke my boyfriend with this strong urge to go out and shoot whatever was lifting the tent, which he refused to let me do. He yelled at it and it stopped, but later that night it happened again, but we slept through it. When morning came we saw that there was no prints in the snow or any trace of an animal. What could it have been? Something trying to access my phone in the middle of the night. I woke up at 4:30 and was laying there trying to go back to sleep. I keep my iPhone face up on the table next to my bed. As I'm laying there I hear the slight 2/3 vibrations the phone makes when the Face ID doesn't match. I look over and of course, my phone is on the enter password page since it failed the Face ID. I keep my phone in Do Not Disturb, so I know no other reason the vibration should have gone off. Nothing else is around. My wife is asleep on the other side of me. Could very well just be a phone glitch. But what makes me uncomfortable is that the failure of ID indicates the phone detected a face, just not my face. If there was nothing there, I believe the phone would just stay on lock screen and not attempt to open. Any other thoughts on the matter? Something weird in the sky ideas. I was at work one night and me and two friends were talking about something moon and stars related, and all three of us were looking at the moon. We were looking up at it for a few minutes, when out of nowhere, something bright, about the size of how a planet looks, comes from behind the moon and slowly starts moving across the sky. The farther it got, the faster it went until we couldn't see it anymore. When we first saw it we all went quiet and just stared and then started asking each other if they saw it too. We all saw it. It did not come from one side, go behind the moon, then come out the other side. There was nothing there. Then something just came from behind the moon. Any ideas? Subwoofer. This happened about 10 years ago. My house is in a pasture about 14 acres. My Shih Tzu dogs were outside and I was awakened by their barking. I woke up and froze in pure terror. It sounded like something with a tremendous power source was right over my house. The best way to describe it was like a subwoofer as big as a high school gym just pulsing and humming WOWOWOWO. It just felt like it had incredible power. Then it slowly quit as if it moved away. I was frozen. I didn't want to even move, but after it left I went and let the dogs in and looked around. They were going crazy, so I know it affected them too. Never did see anything, but whatever it was, it felt like it could have vaporized an entire city. The bartender made a move while I was on my SOS arm while getting takeout and a drink. I noticed a rather gangly bartender. He was looking at me with a sad attempt of dreamy eyes way too frequently. We took our drinks to the slot machines in the next room for space. A while later he brought our order and I told my so I was going to get another shot before I leave. Vodka with a cran chaser. I told the bartender I wanted a refill. He brought me 2 glasses of some other type of drink. I was confused and like, WTF dude? He told me he wanted me to try it. He then proceeded to pick up 1 glass and toast me and said it's on the house. My so said I'll just taste that to make sure it was safe. We were so *king shocked I just took the shot and left. Ick. The deer had 2 shadows. Creepy experience working in an office this week. Someone vandalized a bathroom after hours, leaving both identifiable and unidentifiable excreta. Trouble is, there is 0 security camera footage of anyone entering or exiting the building during that time period, and believe me, and all routes in and out would be more than covered by the camera setup. Every explanation for that confluence of events has ruled out. Besides the eeriness of something that disgusting occurring without explanation, security cameras catch a few deer huddling in the parking lot throughout the night that all have 2 shadows, one that looks like someone standing upright and one that looks like a deer. This took place in rural Oregon near the homelands of Cayuse, Umatilla, Walla Walla, and Nez Perce, so it would not be a traditional Navajo skinwalker, but is there anything else it could be? The newborn, he did it again. He did it again. My child screamed in terror as he ran down the hall. What do you mean, he did it again? I shouted as I rushed past him and into the nursery, only to see the limbs of my newborn writhing across the floor, while the rest of his body remained in his crib. This can't be our child. I screamed at my oddly undisturbed wife. As I looked up at her, I noticed that while she was gently stroking that monster's head, her own limbs began to drop to the floor. I backed out of the room and ran to rescue the son I knew was mine and take him away from whatever that monstrosity was that claimed to be my wife. The time I saw a goblin, I've been interested in duendes and have been reading up on them recently, and I just remembered a memory of something similar I experienced. This happened a few years ago when I was in middle school, and I'm pretty sure the apartment I lived in was haunted or something, because a lot of weird stuff happened there. I believe it was nighttime, and as I was passing my bathroom, I saw what looked like a pale goblin in there, a couple feet tall. Seemed to be nude, but couldn't tell much about it as the bathroom and hallway were dark. It saw me and I saw it, but I just kept walking and pretended like I never saw anything. I don't think this was a duende because it seemed more goblin-like, but I'm not really sure what it was. I live in Southern California, BTW. Edit, it was also pretty ugly.